Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, outsiders of all ages. How about 11-1 Texas fans? How about beating all three of those rivals on your schedule? Yeah, that happened. How about a rematch with the Georgia Bulldogs? That's happening too. Grab yourself a beverage. Now it's the Monday edition, so you can go a little slower on the beverage if you like. But if you're still celebrating what happened in College Station, jump on in. It is The Outsiders, and it's brought to you by Poncho. There are things you need to do, and you need to do it tonight because the double up deals will end tonight. Cyber Monday, after all. The free gifts with every order. This is our suggestion for good stocking stuffers. You buy one, and you're getting one. You buy two, you're getting two. You buy three, you're getting three. You buy four, so on and so forth. We love those T-shirts and those hats. You see the stickers there. They got all kinds of cool stuff. Maybe even a tote bag. I think I see a tote bag on the left side of that deal as well. Check out ponchooutdoors.com. Make sure you mention Orange Bloods Live when you place your order. The Outsiders are ready. The upper left is Chance Mock. The Mock 5. He went to College Station. He got to live a Longhorn dream, not the Longhorn dream. That would just be watching the game with a bunch of Longhorns. He got to live the dream of watching that game with a bunch of Aggies. Chance, how are you?
Man, I'm good. I had a lot of fun. I spent the hour and 45 minutes, which normally 50 minutes, but it was double that to get home from Kyle Saturday night, sitting on the Aggie Highway headed back to Houston.
Yep.
Was caught in the traffic, had to pee in a cup.
Nice.
And that happened. But, I got all my phone calls out of the way. And then I knew Sunday morning it was time to focus on the retribution and the redemption against Georgia. So the Aggie game was fun, and we'll discuss it. And I do have a funny story about why you and I could not hook up. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
we tried.
We did. So I'll tell you now real quick, and then we'll get to the introduction. So Chad, I'm backstage at, I text Reese, and he was so generous to hook me up, and Lizzie Grace and her kids. We got to go backstage for the deal. By the way, game day setup was much more accessible. Our seats were fantastic. They had TV set up back there, so we could actually watch the entire show. It was great.
Nice.
During this whole process, I'm in the middle of, there's no service down there. Everything is shit because it's a pretty busy morning, but it's a beautiful morning. Kyle Fields in the background. And I swear to God, I turned to Lizzie Grace and I was like, I'm looking at my phone and I said, I swear that I see from Chad Hastings, I'm headed towards, we're walking out of game day. And I see it. I said, Lizzie Grace, I swear to God, I saw a text from Chad that said Doc Hastings and Sylvia are headed down here, but I've looked through my text, I've looked through my emails, I've looked through group text, I've looked at my Instagram, I've looked at my Twitter, every way that Chad has ever talked to me. I've looked, and I do not see a single message from him. So then I start calling him. It's going straight to voicemail. I sent him a couple texts. They won't go through. Today, and a voicemail pops up. Chance, it's Chad. I'm with Doc Hastings and Sylvia. We're looking to give you a little shit here before the game. He had called me, and I guess it just went to voicemail. I don't know, but the voicemail to text had popped up. But then when I opened the phone, it went away, and I couldn't find it. And I thought it was a text message or an email, and I was like, I can't get a hold of the guy. 3 hours later, he's like, we're going into the game. Fuck you.
I just figured Chance had reached his quota of Aggies for the day where he's like, I can't do anymore. We're done. I can't do more Aggies. We'll talk more about what happened in College Station. The lower right tonight, as always, is Jason Dick. He's got a big smile on his face. His Longhorns won 17-7. He wasn't scared of the Aggies. And
31-0. I'm writing down 31-0.
31-0 It kind of had that feel in a weird way, even though it wasn't actually that. Your lower left is the Country Gorilla. He's rocking a poncho shirt tonight. I think Jason's got a poncho shirt. I've got a poncho shirt on. Chance, is that a poncho hoodie? What is that?
Yeah, it's a poncho hoodie.
Yeah, there you go. See, we're all poncho. Everybody's poncho. Bo Edge, how are you, sir?
I am excellent.
Bo is drunk.
I am not, actually.
Hammered. Gone.
First beverage of the evening. Yes, it does involve a little brown water with Coke Zero, but just a little. So we're all right.
We are starting the super chats tonight with a man named Chris. $4.99. Do we see more 16-wheeler package versus Georgia? Guys, one of the wackiest trivia, I guess, points of this game is going to be when they got the rivalry back together in College Station, who scored the first points? And the answer ends up being Arch Manning. Kind of crazy. Jason, I got to start with you.
Well,
I mean, you like Arch more than Cooper does. Talk to me. How much did you enjoy that?
Cooper didn't even show up to the game.
I would say rewind to August when we were having running back issues, and I said put 16 in the backfield, okay? And did you see that kid make the corner? You see him make the corner and then stay in bounds and dive for the pylon? If they're not going to let the best quarterback play quarterback, let's put him in the game, all right? Let's get some.
I mean, Jason, I don't know if you noticed, but Arch Manning was so good on Saturday night that last night Josh Allen tried to do his best Arch Manning impersonation in the play of the year on Sunday Night Football.
But I really hope – you remember when Andy Reid stole Sark's play and used it for the Chiefs?
With Worthy.
I want to see Texas against Georgia throw a pass and have Arch Manning come running around and get the foot back.
Yeah. I hate 16-wheeler package, though, by the fact to whichever chatter says they have invented that. Because, I mean, first of all, it's just a reference to the Tyrone Swoops era, right? Which I don't necessarily look upon fondly. We were trying to workshop some sort of nickname for that package. Arch Madness?
Arch Madness is probably better. Yeah.
You're right on the 16-wheeler because the 18-wheeler ran off the side of the road like in an ice storm. Yeah. We don't need any reference to that period of time when everything sucked.
Yeah, and plus, guys, what you guys got to experience in that game, not only was it Arch, not only did it work, but it ended up feeling worlds more creative than what the Aggies were trying to throw out on fourth down. That was another part of the game that ends up being a big deal for Texas. A couple key play calls when it mattered. Obviously, big defensive plays as well. 17-7 was the final of this game. It was a little more complex than that, but we will definitely talk about that. Chris Bennett, there's no need to throw facts into an outsider show. Yes, Jeff Fuller is the last Aggie to score an offensive touchdown against Texas. It is true. It is true. It is true, and I think it made the score 25-24. I don't recall what happened after that, but I believe that's what the score was when Jeff Fuller went in the end zone way back there.
Good thing Auburn wasn't our kicker in 2011, or it would be a completely different tale.
Yeah, it was, and Jason made a reference to 31-0. Chance, it was such a weird. It's like I've been saying all day in the last couple days. It's weird when you get your ass kicked 17-7. But that's kind of what happened. And at 17-0, it felt like it was about to really get at least a little bit more out of hand. Even a field goal there would have felt big right before the pick six. So let me get you guys to kind of process the Quinn part of this game for me. As you guys get ready to head back into a game with Georgia, it's going to be in Atlanta, obviously. What's the worry level or confidence? Give me confidence level. Forget worry. Give me the confidence level on Quinn, because there were some moments in College Station that were badass Quinn, and then you had a couple that weren't. So, Chance, I'm gonna start with you. Where's your confidence on number 3?
So I would put it this: if we had Quinn of the second quarter, I would put my confidence level in us playing Georgia at like a 9 and getting a win. Because Quinn's second quarter was absolutely incredible. It was a piece of work. The balls that he was throwing were nice, and he did a great job. There were parts of that game where Quinn did what Quinn does, and we sat in that stadium, and my hat's off to your Aggies. Now, Texas did a really good job of quieting that crowd early and never really allowing them to get back into it, which I think is the part of the game that nobody's talking about, is that Texas was able to just steal any hope they really had early in that game. I think most of the stands knew we're not scoring on this offense. Like, it felt like, okay, Texas is going to win this thing. But Quinn did what Quinn does, and I know that the ball was tipped, and I did, in the stands it looked a lot worse than the replay to me, at least. But then he turns the ball over again with the fumble late. I mean, those things, we still have to clean those up. It was like we had Quintavious the first the last part of the first quarter and the whole second quarter, and then Quinn came back out at halftime, and it was a different ball game.
Okay. So, as the self-proclaimed,
because let's be real, Bo. This is the best thing I've heard so far. Quinn Ewers. This is the difference in when Arch scored versus Quinn. Quinn Ewers is I want to hunt and drink beer and just live my life. Arch Manning is I want to smash beers and girls and have a freaking party. Let's go do it. Like it's two different personalities, you know, and the team feels different.
But here, and yes, I am the self-proclaimed Quinn homer of this show. Like I'm the one that I have Quinn's back more than everybody else. I'm not saying that you don't, but y'all know I'm a Quinn Ewers fan, and I really do think that in 10 years, people are going to look back at this a little differently. Quinn is having a subpar year for Quinn, and I equate it to what Colt did in 2009 when Texas ended up making the national championship game. Go back and watch some of those games that we got to see great Colt in 2008 when he should have had the Heisman and Texas should have been playing for a national championship against Florida. And 2009, Quinn got to go to Colt went to New York. Texas was in the national championship game. But go back and look at some of those games. It wasn't pretty. There were mistakes. And that's kind of where you're getting both with Quinn right now. You're getting really good plays. Like, you can say it was like, yes, there were great catches made by Blue and Gunnar Helm and other things. But it also takes a great throw to put the ball in the spot where only his guy can get it. And it gives them a chance to make the catch. That throw to Blue, there was no chance of that being intercepted. Like, it was a perfectly thrown ball that if it was dropped, it was dropped. Quinn has a knack for making really good plays, and then he has a knack for doing some absolutely stupid shit. Like, the pick six was just dumb. Know your situation. It's almost like Quinn gets so much confidence, he just tries to do something a little extra, and it blows up. But I think the best part of this and why Texas was able to be successful, Quinn's demeanor throughout the week, throughout the beginning when the game starts. Arch came in and did his thing. Quinn was still leading the huddle. Quinn didn't get rattled. The fact that he kind of acts like he doesn't give a damn when you know he does keeps the team level and allows them to play great. Like, if somebody drops a ball when Quinn throws it, you don't see him. You don't see histrionics. You don't see, throwing helmets. He just goes to the next play. And in that environment, you needed that calming force. The future is Arch. We know that. Jason may have been an innovator or ahead of his time, although he was the number one player in the country and his last name's Manning. So I don't think you're stepping way too far out over your skis to say he was going to be good.
Ultimate scout right here.
Yeah. I don't know why the Cowboys don't hire you right now. But this team will go as far as Quinn takes us because this is Quinn's team. Well, Arch Manning is the perfect scenario is Arch Manning plays Tebow to the Chris Leak that is Quinn Ewers at this point because there ain't going back.
Well, yeah, the thing, Jason, I thought was good is you guys got to see both parts of this thing because I agree with Bo. I thought Quinn's demeanor helped. We talked about that his level demeanor could probably help in a road environment like that. So you got to see that part of it where even after the pick six, it didn't phase him. Things didn't continue to go wrong. He balanced all that out. Plus you got the Arch score with that snarl and that attitude on the sideline that every Texas fan had to love. Like, it all happened at the same time. My only question, Jason, going into this is, do you guys think Georgia can take advantage of situations A&M couldn't? Because I can argue there are two balls that were thrown that weren't picked that could have been. Jason, does it worry you that Georgia might be able to make, to make those plays?
Yeah. And Georgia, for whatever reason, I mean, they, first of all, refuse to play two halves of football on any given Saturday or Friday night, I guess. They're good at playing one half. All right. But they might match up really well against Texas, and that could be a problem. Let me offer just an emotional answer for a second. I'm a very emotional guy. And I'll answer your first question, Chad. What's your worry level? My worry level with Quinn is really high. And I started thinking about this, and I can't stop thinking about Quinn Ewers, a junior in college, reminds me of Troy Aikman, or I might even say Favre, Peyton, at the very end of their career, okay? At the very end, where every time he drops back, I am worried. I am very worried that he's going to throw an interception or fumble or get hurt. Now, I'm not saying he's bad, okay, because I know I've seen the greatness, and I know that he's capable of the greatness. But now, when I watch Quinn Ewers play football, the emotion that I have is worry. And when Arch Manning comes in the game, I feel a different emotion, excitement. I'm like, what's going to happen here? This is going to be exciting, and it was exciting. So I'm not advocating that Arch needs to take over right now. But if you ask me, if the situation was that Texas is down 10 going to the fourth quarter versus a real football team, can Quinn put the team on his back? I'd be real worried in that situation.
But I would say to me, and I hear what you're saying, Jason, and I don't want to harp too much on Quinn because I think with everything encompassing, the injuries, with the atmosphere that he walked into, I watched him entire pregame. That's all I watched was Arch Manning, and they warm up a little differently than we did at Texas. They go out and do a full warm up in just shirts and shorts. A&M is already in full uniform and padded up, and they go through. And I watched, and they have a preset routine that they go through, and then they start throwing. Quinn threw a couple balls, and then walked an entire lap around the field, just on the sideline, all the way down. Turned every one of the pylons. I don't know if that's his normal routine because I don't normally get into the game an hour and a half early, but there wasn't a lot of movement. And I was like, this dude's really not going to play. Like, I was getting some really interesting text on Friday evening, like, dude, you need to wrap your head around the fact Arch may start this game. So I was watching it and I'm going, this dude really isn't going to play because he didn't warm up much. But then they came out with, for their actual pregame and he looked good. But that being said, to your point, he reminds me more of, and I agree with what you're saying, Jason, but as you were saying that, what the name that popped into my head that reminds me a lot is Tony Romo. Like that, he is a gunslinger, but not the mobility maybe that Favre kind of had. Even later in his career, Favre would extend plays well. He had good pocket awareness. That's why he threw a ton of interceptions too, because he'd extend plays and make dumb throws. But that's kind of where Quinn is with me. And it's like Romo, like I feel like we have a chance at any time. And I don't think any moment's too big for him. I think sometimes he has a complex personality that he's okay taking the short games, which we were happy with when it was Major. We're like, oh, it's Major, but because Major wasn't a 5-star, we get frustrated at Quinn when Quinn's willing to take the drop down. And I think a lot of the critique, especially from me, and I put it on myself, comes from that cool demeanor. Like for once, I want Quinn after he throws an interception to like rip his chin strap and yell the F word. Like just like show me that something, because he stays right here all the time.
But and this is Jason, to your point of the zero confidence. He's had those moments. Oklahoma, it ended up in a loss, but he led us back from the abyss to give us the lead with less than 2 minutes left, and the defense let freaking Drake Stoops catch 5 damn balls running out, and Dylan Gabriel turn into, I don't know, Michael Vick Jr. against Washington. Yeah, we were down. Who was it that, yes, some of it being Washington's ineptness on defense in the second half, but Quinn led us down the field and had us inside the 15-yard line with a chance to win a playoff game from when we were way down. He has brought this team back. Like Alabama, last year, we got a big lead, and then it went away. Who brought us back and won the damn game? Quinn. Like, Arch Manning has talent. I'm not disputing that and I think it's a good thing that they got packages for him, and I think you're going to see Sark open those floodgates up a little more. And this is just my theory, and y'all know I have some stupid-ass theories, but sometimes my theories are actually correct. I think Sark has been slow playing Arch because he hasn't needed him, because he knows how good this defense is at this point. So when we're playing Florida and we're up 2 scores, he has zero fear that we're giving up those 2 scores. When we're playing Vanderbilt and we're up 2 scores, he's not putting Arch in there. He doesn't want to disrupt the dynamic. He doesn't want to placate an ego with Quinn or anything like that. I think the first time you saw in that Aggie game was, this is a playoff game. That's how they were approaching it. So all bets are off. And I think you're going to see more of it this week against Georgia, where he's going to start showing more. Not too much, because that game is only a precursor for what's coming. But when we get to the playoffs, I think you will see more Arch packages, and you will see him throw out of those packages, much like Tebow did for Urban Meyer in Florida the first time they won. Tebow didn't start week 1. Tebow didn't even play week 1. But by week 8, you're getting Tebow time. And more, that became what he was known for, was just running in the middle. But then they had him start throwing out of that package. But they needed that level leader in Chris Leak, who gets no credit for those national titles, but threw a hell of a lot more balls than Tim Tebow did. You can win it in tandem when you have an established leader. And I don't think there's any doubt who's the leader of that football team. From half the damn defense wearing Quinn Ewers shirts the week of the game, supporting their guy. Like, if they didn't believe he was a starter, Jahdae Barron isn't running around in a Quinn Ewers hoodie.
Well, I can tell you right now, from the people that I've talked to in that locker room, and I've talked to through people from 4 different sources, guys that you would love, and I'll tell you all off the record, but there is absolutely zero any division in that locker room. Everybody knows it's Quinn team. Everybody knows, and the younger guys, they love Arch because they know that's where it's going. I can tell you right now that there are guys that won't even talk to other, like, not them, but their agents will not. They've been told, don't even take phone calls. I'm not interested. No, I'm not getting the balls I want, but I know where this program is going. And there is no division in that locker. This is Quinn's team. And regardless of where my confidence is with Quinn, it would be lower with Arch going into this game as a starter because of the different fronts and the coverage and the coverages and the different disguises that they're going to get from Kirby Smart and that defense. That defensive line is going to be shifting all game long. And those things, by the way, when our offensive line has played well, Trevor Gooseby played freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, no,
thrown in that situation.
Yeah, I apologize if my question led us down a negative road. There's a lot of positive to talk about here, and I think Chris has the chat of the night. Don't knock Quinn. He's the only member of Ohio State's 21 recruiting class to beat Michigan. That's well played. Well,
he's also one of, I think, 3 quarterbacks in UT history that has beaten Arkansas, A&M, and Oklahoma in the same year, all by double digits, mind you.
Yeah, the 4th in the last 50 years, Chance. 4 guys to pull that off, and he is now the 4th one.
I'll say this. I guarantee you that Mike Elko would have loved to have Quinn Ewers running his system on Saturday night and not Marcel Reed. Now, let me put it that way. As far as, and this isn't a knock on Marcel Reed, the Texas defense had him rattled by the second quarter. He was seeing guys blitzing and corners covering receivers that weren't even there. Like, he didn't know what was going on, to where they pretty much just shut it down because they were so afraid of the mistake he was going to make that they didn't give him an opportunity to make the mistake. Now, part of that was Texas allowing them to stay in it on the scoreboard close enough that they could keep trying to run it into the middle of the pile. But, like, Quinn made a couple mistakes, but Quinn also, like I said, he made some really good throws at some really opportune times in the beginning of the game. It just didn't end as well.
He did.
If I could say one more dick thing. Mike Elko might be able to get him for 2025. All right.
No,
shut up.
Wow.
That was a dick comment.
When you put on your poncho and you start feeling like you got icy hot all over your back, just remember I'm going to inject it into the package.
Wow. Let's all try to forget that was just said, and let's start thanking some of our great partners around here. Almost 700 of you in the Specs chat. We appreciate that. We certainly appreciate Specs. We also appreciate the good folks at Covert Ford. Here's the truck.
With Covert Ford of Austin, all season we're bringing the football fun to you with unbeatable deals on our all-new Ford F-150s. Whether you're tailgating with friends or cruising to the big game, our powerful trucks are your perfect MVP. Come experience the rugged performance and cutting-edge features that make every drive an experience. Touchdown savings await at Covert Ford of Austin, a family tradition since 1909. CovertFord.com.
Covert Ford, right there on 183. Go see our boy, outsider, Christopher Abbott. Right there at his desk, right when you walk in the door. Go see him. Go see Kenny Covert. Now's the time. It's almost Christmas. Get that new F-150. Get that Raptor. Get that Bronco. Get a Raptor Bronco. If you're looking more for a car like I did when we got my daughter her Ford Escape for her 16th birthday, they have everything you need. They have service after the sale. They're closed on Saturdays, so you can watch college football, but they're open on Sundays. It's Covert Ford right there on 183, an Austin institution for a reason. They always treat their customers right.
All right, shout out to Covert Ford and all y'all in the chat. If you want to throw something in. Oh, I see a super chat. Look at this. Oscar with a $9.99. No one thinks about the damage benching Ewers does to that locker room. He has not lost those guys, not even close. And we want to change that because we think Arch is the second coming of VY. Oscar, I'm not sure if that's exactly how some people would describe that.
No, I think the way that they used Arch in Saturday night's game is exactly how I would have liked to seen him, because this is why he may not be the runner that Tebow is. He's bigger. He may be a fast line faster runner than Tebow is.
Yeah.
But he's also got a freaking arm. Like, that's the thing, is when we put him in those situations, you can't just say, oh, here comes, that's why I don't like the 16-wheeler. It's not like Tyrone Swoops where it's here comes a run because Arch is in the game. No, you have to play defense when Arch is in the game. And if Sark is very strategic in how he uses it, I love how he was used on Saturday. And there was multiple opportunities for more.
And yeah. I think what you'll see either in the Georgia game or the first playoff game is the first time they have 4th and 2 at the 48, you'll see Arch come in there, because the defense can't stack the front of that box when they know that there's any moment Arch could take a step back and throw it right over their heads. And there is a fear of that, because Arch in that pistol set or the zone read set, when he fakes it, he has the speed to get to the corner if you don't cover it correctly. But if you do, there will be throws that are open. I think it's the perfect use, and I think you're going to see more of that. Like I said, it's my contention at this point, Sark has been holding back because of lack of necessity. This game, he let a little more out. Next game, he'll let more out. And I think that, what people aren't, when they're talking about this game coming up, the tiredness that Georgia front that destroyed us in October is going to have after an 8 overtime game against a rival in Georgia Tech. Like, they were going to war in those trenches. Everybody was limping off the field at the end of every single one of those overtimes. And Chance, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't heal in 4 days. Like, those guys are still going to be feeling it. They're going to have to substitute more. They're not just going to, like, when they played us the first time, and we talked about it, they were coming out like their hair was on fire. This was their we get to show off kind of day. Like, they didn't ho-hum it because they're used to winning against the Vanderbilts of the world. They wanted to kick Texas's ass in our house, and they came out and they did it. Well, now they don't get that boost from doing it that way, and I think they're worn out. Like, I think they're more on the lines than anything else, but their defensive and offensive lines have to just be destroyed physically.
Well, I think this is where, to me, this game is where the experience of Georgia plays such a huge factor. And here's the reason I say this is because for most teams, the grind that Georgia's gone through this year, they haven't had a bunch of easy wins where they've just been able to, roll over teams like they have in the past and, sit guys. I mean, they're having to play games late into the game all season long against teams that they shouldn't have had to. And that is what wears on teams more than anything. Now, Georgia, again, with the success they've had, they've played long seasons for the last couple of years, except for last year. But, so they're used to the grind of it. So I give them that credit. I've always said playing the team that wins first, it puts them at a disadvantage. I don't think it's an advantage to have lost a game. I don't. But I think it's an edge that, Texas players can carry into there. But you can make the same argument that Georgia's going to be able to say, hey, we got embarrassed last year by Alabama. We got to go get our SEC championship. We're here again. Let's go get it. So you can play that. It's going to come down to blocking and tackling. And I think this offensive line is going to be much better prepared. I think they're better right now than they were the first time we played.
Well, and the other thing, to Bo's point about physicality, this is 2 straight opponents now Texas will play that just came off of multiple overtimes. And I know it's not the same as it used to be, but it was 4 for the Aggies and it was 8 for Georgia. And they were in a rival game situation. So I think that could have maybe, who knows, maybe not have a little effect.
Let me ask you this, just going back to your era. How many times did y'all line up and do goal line stand defense versus offense for more than just 3 or 4 plays?
No, I mean, it was a 5-minute period, and that was about it.
When you're in those goal line stand type moments, 2 yards out, 3 yards out, there is some serious battling, amongst the linemen. There is not a play where you can kind of sag back in your stance because the play is going over this direction. They are hitting and they are thumping head to head all 11 across. Well, yeah, so we got a chatter saying that, well, those overtime plays were one play.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over after playing for 60 minutes in a battle. Like Carson Beck was limping off the field after the fourth overtime.
Yeah, and Jason, before you say something smart ass, after every one of those 2-point conversion exchanges, they have to walk to the other end of the field. That's a long way.
Dick move.
Look, first of all, I hate college overtime. Okay, like we played for 3.5 hours to a dead heat, and so now, I mean, it's the same as soccer and the PKs. I hate that as well. All right, play football until there's a winner. Don't start this little contest. But yeah, like I was talking to people that I was watching the game with. They're like, "This is good. Georgia's going to be worn down from all the overtimes." And I'm like, "Well, first of all, they played Friday, so they get a whole extra day on us. But additionally, it was like 15 plays. They played an extra 15 plays. We got to stop calling it 8 overtimes, okay? I got Joe Tess on TV talking about we're in octa overtime, folks. I'm like, just call it overtime. If you want to do this with this weird system, just say they're in overtime.
We're in 2 overtimes.
Yeah, stop calling it 8 overtimes.
We're in 2 overtimes.
It wasn't 8 overtimes. But you know what it is? It's mentally freaking draining to play that game against your rival and then have to go back and forth and back and forth. And like I said, for the linemen, those few extra plays do matter. Go ask an offensive lineman how they feel at the end of the game.
8 days later?
They don't want 5 extra plays of getting the crap hit out of them.
8 days later, it still matters?
Yeah. I don't know if it'll matter as much, Bo, because Georgia's obviously a better team than A&M. I thought the Aggies were sluggish on Saturday. I really did.
I think it has to do.
I thought the Aggies had a tough time finding any kind of edge, any kind of rhythm. They just felt a step different to me. And Texas felt like they had their claws in from the jump.
Well, and let me ask you, here's what I would say about that, Chad. I think that was as much – I don't know how much I attribute that to the overtimes as much as I attribute it to the weight that sat on their shoulders all week in College Station. Mm-hmm. Everybody talked about it. They were fighting for their lives.
Right.
Texas knew.
Yeah, that's true, Chance, but they also didn't earn it. They looked like a team that wasn't ready to go get – they hadn't earned what they had that night, and I thought they looked that way. They looked like a team that just happened to have that opportunity, but they didn't earn it.
No, I think you're exactly right, but I think what happened is that we returned to the mean, and that is that A&M is they're not as talented of a football team as Texas, and that's the fact. And they had the burden of that sitting on them all week. They had the pressure of you have to win or you're not getting to the playoffs. Texas, on the other hand, Texas was probably in whether they won or not. I mean, Jason's given scenarios where maybe Texas should not win just so they have a week off. But I mean, that was a hypothetical. We'll say that. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I think what you saw was the pressure of it and the stress of that mixed with a team that just wasn't as talented, that had a little bit of hope. Maybe our crowd can get us. And Texas came in with that edge. And early on, they started with a good drive. And then Elko goes for it on the 4th down. And, they had moved the field down. They got the ball. Texas wins and did exactly what we thought. They deferred, give A&M the ball first. They had hit a deep ball down the sideline. And then the 4th down stand happens. And that was like the air in that place went, we're not going to be able to score on these guys. Like, even though they had just moved the ball 78 yards down the field with some ease, I would say, they got down there to the end and they couldn't get it across. And I feel like the defense went, oh, we got this.
So, and this mirrors the point I was trying to make, Chance. And yeah, it may have only been 5 or 6 plays, Jason, but part of what made Texas stronger in that game was the depth and the ability to rotate in fresh defensive tackles throughout the game. Georgia's already light at defensive tackle due to injuries and everything else that's going on in their program. They have incredible NFL guys as far as their pass rushers, but the space eaters in the middle, they don't have 6 of them like Texas does right now. Like, we have the luxury of bringing in, a Nelson or a Lole or other, it's not just Broughton and Collins. We can bring in substantial depth in the middle at key moments, and they come through. A guy like Ethan Burke, who's not even playing that much, but when he comes in, he's amped up and ready to go. That's where the overtimes matter. It's just draining And it leads to practices where you don't get the full reps because you don't have the guys. Like,
and we'll see again. It's a much better team. They got the win instead of what A&M went through. I don't know that we don't need to make too much about the overtime thing, but I do want to see how. Overall, I want to know how hungry Georgia is for this game, because this is ordinary for them. It's ordinary to be there. They go to Atlanta all the time. They win this thing pretty often. And I don't know if they're hungry to play Texas. I feel like Texas wants them. I feel like Texas wants their revenge. They want that rematch. I want to know if Georgia is polished up, sharpened up, and ready to roll in this one, or if they're going to be looking like trying to find that extra step in this game. Because I was thoroughly impressed with Texas's focus, and just everything felt lined up for Texas, and it felt like they wanted Georgia. They played in College Station almost not in spite of it was almost not about the Aggies. You could feel this hunger of, this is the thing that gets us to that. Well, and I want to know if Georgia can match it.
Well, and it's kind of we talked about it last week. That crowd could really pump A&M up, but could it also be a burden on someone like Marcel Reed's shoulders? The expectation of making all those people happy and walking around campus all week for the first time this game has happened. That same kind of thing happened when Texas had Georgia, and it was the show. It was the game of the decade. It was celebrities everywhere. Well, that was at our house, and that weight of the crowd gets on the players too. I think that played a role in Marcel Reed struggling, because you start to feel it. Like, it gets in your head, which is back to my point. Quinn, as a freshman, did not have the same mentality he has now. It really doesn't bother him, because he knows where he's going. Even if he screws up 100 times, he's going to go play in the NFL. Even if he's sitting on a bench carrying a clipboard, he's going to get there. His dream will happen.
Yeah.
I think in this particular game, I don't think Georgia, we'll see how it plays out, but I don't think Georgia is supremely motivated, because they've been through these battles. They know what's coming. Now they haven't had a 12-team playoff, but they know the playoffs coming. Whereas Texas, they want to avenge that loss, and they don't have that burden. That's why Texas plays better on the road than at home.
Yeah, I think it's true. It's also a little extra burden when your coach doesn't want leads or one-score games, but that's really a discussion for another day.
Hold on, Chad. Before you get too far on that, I want to ask you, is the one that's been in the SEC longer? Because I followed the SEC as a fan, not as closely, but just watching. I mean, I watch Feinbaum. Has Kirby Smart always whined as much as for somebody that wins as much as they do? His shtick about nobody believes in us and we're always the underdog, like, it is the most obnoxious thing of the SEC so far.
I really think that the Saban training does involve, it's like you got to create an edge even when it's not there. You got to find little things. I think Kirby Smart, just like Saban was probably this way, I just think he's one of those dudes, Chance, you know about these kind of coaches. They're just walking in the stretch line, coming up with every story in the world about, here's what somebody said about you. Here's what, like, I just feel like he's always trying to do that. But yeah, you're right. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, Kirby, but nobody believes in us. Kirby, calm down.
Really, but
here's the
Bowden technique.
But here is the thing, fellas. This is the other part of that Texas sort of aura right now. Kirby can say what he wants. You know, Bama people could say what they want, whatever. I went to SEC Media Days. Texas was the star. We're in this season. Texas just went 11-1. They have been the star. They're the only team in the SEC that only lost one conference game. Now, I know it was to Kirby in this group, but they've already gone ahead and lost another one after that. This week is about all those other fans. The Aggie fans have now been put in their place. And the nightmare they didn't want to deal with, they're living it now. 13 years of against one season and headed to Atlanta. But if Texas loses this game, Georgia fans, Bama fans, LSU fans, they're going to take their opportunity to talk about, well, Texas. They'd love to see Texas get knocked down a peg. And Chance, I think that's what Kirby Smart feels. He knows they are the darling of the conference. And now they're playing like this. He knows they're the thing. He knows they're what everybody's talking about. And I think it pisses him off deep down because it's like, wait, what about us? Hold on. We won back-to-back. Wait a minute. Why don't people get – so that when everybody doesn't pick him, he gets a little sensitive. I think that's what Kirby goes through.
So Chad, and I know Chance has to tell us about the amazingness that is Arch Public. But before we get there, quick question to a diehard Aggie, but an actually very logical, sane Aggie. Aggies love to root for their conference. Like the Aggies have been the biggest SEC. SEC is Alabama, Georgia, LSU have won titles and proclaimed how awesome the SEC is. Would Aggie faithful cheer for Texas in like a semifinal game against like Ohio State because we're all SEC brothers? Or is Texas the one team in the SEC that the Aggies will be like ripping the patches off their jersey like, no SEC?
I would assume it would kind of turn the other way, but like I remember being in radio back in the day and an LSU fan called to brag when Alabama won a title. Did you see what we did? And I was like, huh? What? So it's not even just Aggie fans. Like that SEC mindset will just take over. And even if your team's not the team, you'll kind of brag about it. Like, yeah, SEC. So, Bo, I don't know. That's a good question. If Texas ends up in the title game or, like you said, a semi-title game, whatever, against whoever it is, I would assume the Aggies will just, fold their arms and turn the other way. But who knows? Maybe that SEC thing is that powerful.
I think they're already on the phone with
how truly involved in the SEC the Aggies are if Texas makes a run. Because they're going to have to really swallow some shit to cure that.
Hey, they did. Hey, when y'all played USC, some of the Aggies tried that like taping the horns back on thing for like a while or whatever. Maybe they'll do something like that.
Well, but what's funny, and it was probably of all the things, and I truly did. I enjoyed my night in Kyle Field.
I bet you did.
I did, but it was the weather. It couldn't have been any better for a November evening after Thanksgiving. A&M Texas back on the train. That being said, there was nothing quite as funny as the Longhorn fans chanting the SEC chant in Kyle Field. That might have been the funniest part of the entire night.
And you knew it would happen. I never predicted it, or we never talked about it on any show. The winner of that game was guaranteed to chant SEC. Guaranteed. Right? Like there was no way it wasn't happening.
I loved the video that's been floating around, and I know that Michael Huff and some other people got him tickets and airfare to Atlanta. But the one Longhorn guy standing in the sea of the core,
right?
Flapping his horns as they're so varsity horns. He just sitting there going, how he walked out of there alive is beyond me. But
hey, that's what a rivalry's all about, right?
Well, you know who's not alive at this point? Whichever core member sold his ticket to an a-hole Longhorn fan and now has that awesome, like whoever that guy was that went on StubHub or SeatGeek, unless that guy's dead.
I think that was part of that whole frat deal where the frat at A&M tried to get the tickets maybe to their frat brothers at Texas. I think that may be how that guy ended up with that ticket.
I don't know, but that was hilarious.
That's my theory. All right, we've talked about Arch's touchdown. Chance, why don't you tell everybody about Arch Public and what's going on over there?
Well, the beautiful thing with Arch Public is when it's time to score, just like Arch Manning, Arch Public gets you in the end zone. That's what they do. It's a great platform. It's only a platform. The money is yours. All they're doing is providing you with an algorithm. Now, the Bitcoin algorithm, that's the new one. That's the one that everybody's excited about. New administration coming in. They've been very pro-Bitcoin. Y'all have seen the numbers. It's shot from 60,000 up to almost 100,000 just in the last month. Incredible stuff. Arch now has the Bitcoin algorithm, which can help you purchase and build up your Bitcoin. But if you're not into that, you just want to trade, they've got their gateway and their concierge programs. That's trading the gap strategy. That's currently what I'm in, and they're crushing it. I'm up 42% since May. 42%. Tell me where you could get 42% on your money in just 5.5 short months. I can tell you, Arch Public, the best part, it's fully liquid, and you can transfer it back to your bank account every single day. Arch Public, scan that QR code. If you've got any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Twitter or X, and I'll be happy to hook you up with Tillman, Andrew, or Joseph. Those guys will get you taken care of. See if it's right for you. It's always worth the conversation. Arch Public.
All right, boys. Let me check the chats here, see if we got any super chats. I know Jason has a couple of dick moves he wants to get into. Real quick before we do that, and again, we can talk as much about Atlanta as y'all want tonight, but just in terms of the game in College Station, give me y'all's favorite throws for Quinn, because I can tell you about a couple that broke my soul. But Chance, I want to start with you from the quarterback perspective. Give me your favorite throw from Quinn in the game Saturday.
So I'm going to give you two plays. First was my favorite throw. My favorite throw of the entire night was the touchdown to Mr. Jadon Blue. And the reason why is because that was a trust throw. That was I'm putting the ball where my guy can catch it. Mm-hmm. And I thought my reaction in the stands when it happened was, I love that freaking idea. I didn't think it was a touchdown. Like in the stands, it didn't look like it because the ball was so well placed and a great catch. For somebody that can't hold on to the ball sometimes when you hand it to them, that catch was absolutely incredible. That and the one that I thought would have been more of a soul killer was the third down run when Quinn scrambled to the right, going towards the north end zone. He was struggling to run, but it was just enough to get that first down. And I think that one right there gave people that, like, we can't even get out of this and get off the field with a one-legged quarterback. And not only did he didn't throw for a first down, he ran for it, and we couldn't stop him. That, to me, is one of those that just, as a defense, just kills you.
It's a hell of a play. I should have started with the president of the fan club. Bo, give me your favorite Quinn Ewers throw of the night.
It was the deep ball down the sideline. I mean, just
it was the one to Golden?
The one to Golden or to Bond?
Yeah.
The one to Golden.
Yeah.
That was the throw that he's been missing for weeks. It's the throw that everybody says he doesn't put enough air. Like, I'm not talking about the deep balls over the middle. He had a guy one-on-one to the sideline, and his mistake has been, you've talked about the receiver's lawn and everything else, Chance, at depth. You know, like if you don't give the receiver enough room to make a play or you throw it out of bounds, and he threw a very perfect, and to my opinion, a perfect ball to a receiver who made a great catch, and it was a confidence builder. Like, it just – sometimes all the other team needs to see is that you do have that club in your bag, and they have to respect it. And that it opened up some other things in the run game because now they've shown they will throw it over your head. You know, and like that was the throw. The blue throw was amazing, but it was like we talked about. The catch was equally as good as the throw. Like, the blue made a hell of a play on that football. The throw to Golden, which is not a throw that, yes, Arch Manning can make that throw. Hell, everybody that plays quarterback at the Division I level in practice can make that throw. But to see it in that moment at a time where Texas didn't have a surefire lead and it didn't seem over, it just seemed like the perfect throw.
Jason, I know this will test your professionalism, but was there any throw from Quinn Ewers you actually enjoyed?
Well, yes.
Because then he was screaming for Arch.
Look, it's the same thing that Bo just said. It's the deep shot down the left sideline to Golden, because even more so than the ill-timed turnovers, that has been for 3 years the most frustrating thing about watching Quinn Ewers is that he's so inaccurate on the deep balls. And yeah, he put it in the perfect spot right there. And I don't know, Bo says anybody who plays quarterback can do that, but can and does do it are two different things. And he did it in that situation, which was very key. And so, yeah, I think that's definitely the answer.
He did. Real quick, our guy ATX Bates
LOL.
Did throw us a super chat. What's up, Bates? $4.99. Biggest difference between the first Georgia game and the SEC title game, Texas having found their run game identity. Shout out to the paparazzi running between overtimes.
I like ATX Bates' answer. Best throw of the night was when Quinn tossed the ball back after scrambling for 20 seconds.
Wow. That might have been it. That may have been the best.
I guarantee you that's not one the Aggies had on their bingo card, was Quinn Ewers is going to break off a 25-yarder on us.
No, that is not probably what they expected. And Bates, I think everybody watched going into that game knew the team that rushed the ball better was probably going to win it. I said the whole week, there's no way the Aggies win that game if they can't outrush Texas. Texas clearly controlled that part of it, and Wisner was a badass. And the fact that they have that to believe in this week, when those other two running backs they do have had a couple of fumbles, I think 26 is a really interesting part of this game. And fellas, it might be a part of the game that, when when he watches film, like Kirby Smart wasn't planning on that guy. He wasn't planning on having to deal with him, but he better now because Wisner is playing his ass off.
I love Sark's answer in the post game about how they were going to a lot more outside zone. And he basically put it back on his team and said, we've been wanting to do that for weeks. They hadn't proven they could do it until recently, that the linemen could all work together and block it effectively. And the second piece of that, and I don't think he was going to ever say the quiet part out loud, when you're running a lot of outside zone, you better have a sure-handed running back because there's a lot more time in some of those plays coming out of the pistol. And like the handoffs have to be clean. And Jadon, love him out of the backfield catching balls, but somehow you can have the most amazing hands in the world and make that catch, yet you can't hold on to a ball just running through the middle of a pile.
His hands are soft. That's the thing, okay? He's got soft hands.
It's situational. There's situational hands.
Wisner doesn't. Wisner has bricklayer hands, and he holds on to the damn ball, and I think that's why Wisner has taken the job. The question is, what do they do next year when Baxter comes back? If Jadon Blue stays around and they have Wisner, now they got a real problem, a good problem.
Yeah, and there'll be a running back or two in this 25 class for Texas as well. So yeah, interesting. The chats are rolling in. Also, before we get to a new sponsor, a sponsor that we really enjoy the name of, that's coming up. But first, we have a couple Dick moves tonight from Jason Dick. He's so excited about Texas beating Texas A&M. Jason, Dick move for us tonight?
Well, yeah, I'm in a real Dick mood. I don't know what's going on, but I have just a stack of Dick moves over here. Here, let's start with this one because this one's fun. I know many of our the Longhorn brethren made it out to Kyle Field for the game, including one Chance Mock, and I saw him post on Twitter a photo of himself, and I suppose that is his lovely lady. Here, let me just show to the folks at home who can't see.
Right.
Repping the brand out there at Kyle Field, Chance Mock. Put some goddamn burnt orange on, you coward. All right? Listen, you guys told me don't park your car over there with the Longhorn sticker on it or somebody's going to put a crowbar through your windshield. Were you worried somebody's going to put a crowbar into your face, Chance? Come on, man. Where are the colors? Dick move, Chance Mock.
It was not a dick move, though. It was not a dick move because of the incredible seats of which I was sitting and the wonderful family of which I was sitting with was all Aggies. I was happy to be in the stadium, and I was not going to be that douchebag boyfriend that shows up wearing my orange and talking shit to people. Like I was just not.
You don't have to talk the shit part, but come on, man. I mean, I'm with Jason here. Like, rock the colors, man.
Hold on.
I have been granted that I can wear orange going forward. Okay, I've been.
Wait a minute. So you had to act good enough that they would tell you, okay, now moving forward, you can wear orange?
I was not told that I could not. And I was trying to do the correct and respectful thing to the people I was going with.
What a good boyfriend.
I got to ask because
super boyfriend. That's who Chance Mock is.
Are you wearing the exact same outfit right now? It sure looks like you haven't changed.
No, this is great. Do you realize I'm a Buffalo Bills fan? Do you know how many hoodies I have? I have gray, green, blue, white, red, camo. Like I've got 30 hoodies.
That is fantastic.
I'm telling you, he's wearing it. He hasn't taken it off. He's like, we wanted this. I'm wearing
hoodie.
it.
It's fine.
Yeah. Hey, whatever works, right? You should wear that while maybe wear the game from the one in Atlanta as well.
And keep in mind, y'all know Chance is like the biggest clean germaphobe in the universe. So of course he's not wearing the same shirt. I just wanted to give him shit.
Yeah.
Dick move part 2, and Chad and I actually already discussed this. Thanks to Chad Hastings, who appeared on the Jason Dick and Friends podcast.
There it is. Let's get the comp on that. Let's get the comparison.
John Goodman, he got the dirty underwear and the whites.
Yeah, it's like a blue and gray thing going on. Very good. There it is. Chance Mock rocking the Civil War collection tonight.
This hoodie is going to be in the Texas Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah.
I'm holding it right here.
Yeah.
My thanks to Chad, who came on our podcast, available wherever mediocre podcasts are found. But I told him then that those who didn't go to the game and watch the broadcast were treated to something I've never seen on television before in my life. ABC started the telecast with a full airing of the Chad, help me, the Aggie War Hymn. Is that
Aggie War Hymn? Yes.
They sing this song before the game. and ABC televised the entire song, the entire singing of the song with the lyrics on the screen. Okay? I have never seen a national broadcast that I'm like, if it was the Aggie Football Network, maybe I would understand, but the song broadcast with a home karaoke version with lyrics for you down there. And as I told Chad, I'm not even offended as a Longhorn fan. I'm offended as a broadcaster. What are you doing? Like,
I just want to know what all the people in like Maine and Portland, Oregon, and places like that really don't know much about Texas A&M. Like when they start seeing words at the bottom like hullabaloo, knick.
Yeah.
This one, what the?
Yeah.
Like outside of, and Bo, you're right, because outside of like the words, hullabaloo and connect and chigga-rigga-rum being put on the screen, outside of the weirdness of that, it was very small and very stupid, and I don't know why. I don't care what rivalry it is. That makes no sense. Ever. Not once, not ever. You want to show me a tradition? That's fine. Show it to me. Let me hear it. Let me see it. I'll see the sway. Play the whole damn thing if you want. Putting the lyrics on the screen is one of the stupidest things I have ever.
Like a Charlie Brown
grandma going, chigga-rigga-roo, come-a-ha-ba-baloo, connect.
It was a musical sing-along.
Set the stage, okay? Put me in the environment. I want to feel the excitement there. But it felt like an Aggie infomercial.
It did. And not only that, Jason, but I went back and double checked because you told me about this, and I hadn't seen the broadcast yet when I did your podcast. And I go back and look, they actually put lowercase letters on Texas and University. Like, what are you doing? Did some Aggie win a raffle? Like, you get to produce the beginning of the football game. What the hell? That is so unprofessional.
The only thing worse than that, and I feel sorry for the young man on the video that's floating all over Twitter with the yell practice. Like, some of the guys did okay, but this guy was off his damn rocker. And they're literally posting memes of this guy doing the yell practice, saying they think this makes athletes want to go there. And it really was like, there was nothing manly or football oriented about this poor guy. It was bad.
Yeah. I don't know. They could have, I'm with Jason on that one. I have no idea I do not understand. Either way, doesn't matter. If they'd have played Texas Fight and put the lyrics on the screen, I'd have said the same thing. Like, what are you doing?
Would understand the lyrics. Like, there are no words in the Texas Fight song that involve chigamaroos or hullabaloos or knicks or they're actual English words that are in dictionaries.
But it's one of those things, Bo, like if you did the same thing at an Ole Miss game, if you put the words to hotty toddy on a screen and it's, whip, bam, by damn and all that stuff, it's all old school kind of words.
The only one that you need to do it, and it's Chance's side piece, but it's true. If you wanted to put lyrics up for some of LSU's songs, it's okay because they speak a different language in Baton Rouge, and it is English. They just pronounce it differently. You can't put those. You would need an LSU to English dictionary if you were doing the LSU song.
When they sing neck, you can't put those words on the screen though.
That's true. The neck words cannot go on the screen.
No, but you get my point. Like they get a pass. Like if there's an exclusion, it's LSU. They could get words at the bottom.
Yeah, that was very, very silly. All right, Bo, let's tell the people about a company that you came in contact with. Is this after the game or during the game that you found out about it?
I was at Abbott's garage, and we were ruminating on how amazing the game was, and I met a guy named Josh Bretz. I'd met him a couple times before, but he just graduated from school, and he has started a company, unbeknownst to us, Outsider Solutions. And I said, well, there's a match made in heaven. We got to at least promote it once. Outsider Solutions, it's Christmas time. You want to make your wife happy? You want to make your significant other happy? Instead of getting the same old jewelry or the same old clothing or gift certificates, get the yard work done. Get the things done around the house right now that you know your significant other wants done. The flower bed redone, whatever it is. Outsider Solutions. Get the sprinkler system put in advance of summer. Outsider Solutions is a fully, I don't even know. They are the best landscaping company you're going to get. They're young, they're professional, they will grind it out and do what needs to be done to make your yard look exceptionally good. Get with Outsider Solutions if you want your yard to be the one in the neighborhood that has a sign, Yard of the Month. Get with Outsider Solutions. Phone number is very simple, 740-5831. That's 740-5831. It's the Brett's family, Josh and Ben. It's Outsider Solutions.
Definitely dig the name. Very cool.
I mean, I'm telling you.
Come on.
Their hats are going to look better than ours.
Makes all kinds of sense. All right. So we went through 2 dick moves there. Jason, were there any other?
Hey, I got a big move, Jason, for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Chance has one.
No, this is really quick. I've told y'all that my Tiger Woods, sometime known as Lane Kitten, how he likes to take showers.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I drink a lot of water during the show. I drink 3 of these giant fake Stanleys.
Wow.
And I had to go take a leak during the commercial of our new Outsider Solutions guys that Bo's told me about that I'm excited about. And I forgot that I turned the shower on before the show. And my cat's been sitting in the shower for an hour. And I walk into a steam room in my bathroom, and the cat's just sitting there looking at me happy as a freaking lark.
Does the cat, just for the record, does the cat put like a towel over his private parts to look really cool?
He was sitting there scratching himself.
When he takes the steam, do you walk in? He's got like a little wash rag kind of across the crotch and just, what's up, man? And just, yeah.
He's not even that modest.
What does Stevie do when Tiger's in the shower?
Well, for the last year, he just sat at the door looking at him, wondering what the hell he's doing.
Because you have 2 animals, Stevie and Tiger.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, just to Oscar, I'll throw this up, and it says I'm legitimately bothered by how much ball juggling. Interesting. There was for A&M on ESPN and ABC Saturday. Oscar, it did go too far. It did. It absolutely.
You know when it's not going to happen? The rest of the year.
Yeah. No, you're right.
There's not going to be any ball juggling for the Las Vegas Bowl or the Texas Bowl or whatever the hell bowl they play in.
Yes, and was it slightly cruel that a Longhorn fan was waiting for Aggies coming out of our section saying 8-4 Alamo Bowl? Yes. Was he inaccurate? No, he was not.
Yes, he was, because the Alamo Bowl is going to take Colorado.
That's true. The Alamo Bowl will probably not.
The Alamo Bowl doesn't have a tie-in.
Alamo Bowl is slotted up from where it used to be. Plus, there's no SEC connection to that one, if I'm not mistaken. That's still Big 12 Pac. Wait, no, there's no Pac anymore. Anyway, I don't know what.
No, it's actually the
Mountain West.
I saw the projection correctly. It's actually a Big 12 versus Big 12 matchup in the Alamo Bowl.
Is that right?
Colorado versus BYU.
There you go. Well, there it is.
Boy, they got to be excited about that.
Because there's only one conference. They have a Big 12 affiliation, and it's an open-ended spot. So and Colorado and BYU didn't get to play. BYU travels. Well, I'm sure the Alamo Bowl is thinking, well, if we're going to do this, we might as well. They got Dion and Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. They could play a bag of air, and the damn stadium would sell out.
By the way, speaking of bowl games and stuff, in terms of the ones that really matter, guys, this would be the projection from the AP poll if they just use the AP like they've been doing. And that's what they've done every week. There's been really no surprises. If this was the setup, look where Georgia and Texas would be at the bottom down there. Is the message just clearly the winner in Atlanta is going to get that 2 spot, but the loser probably gets to host that type of game, that like 7-10? Is that what we're looking at?
Well, if we're to believe what Bo said this last week, that the committee is not going to penalize you for losing a championship game, the worst that Texas could be is the 5 seed, right? I mean, I guess the 6 seed if Oregon were to lose as well.
No, I think Texas is going to be in the 6. If Texas loses to Georgia, they'll be the 6 or the 7.
Well, how are we not? I thought we weren't penalizing for losing the championship game, which I'm still not sure if the committee said.
Penalizing is knocking you out of the playoff. Like they're going to move seed lines, and the first 4 spots are reserved for conference champs. Doesn't matter if Texas is 2 right now. If they don't win the conference, the best they're going to be at is 5th. Well, then you get into a debate over which team that has 2 losses. Is it Penn State, who just lost to Oregon? If Penn State loses to Oregon in the Big Ten title game, like who slides down further? Like, it doesn't matter. I would be willing to bet right now that if Texas loses to Georgia, they still host a playoff game on the that week of the 21st, and they'll be playing the committee might get really sick, and I could see it being Texas versus SMU as that in that 7-10, 6-11. What they're not going to do, in my opinion, is put two SEC teams against each other in that first round. They're going to do everything they can. Like, they're not going to put Texas versus Tennessee in a 7-10 or 8-9. They're not going to do a rematch of Texas Georgia the week after it happened. That's not penalizing. That's saying Texas is the 2. We're going to make Georgia end up seed line right to them right after that. No, they're going to try to separate them.
You know what's terrible when you talk about being punished? We beat the 5th. We played the 6th and beat the 5th ranked opponent that were ranked at the time we played them, and we still don't have a ranked win because A&M fell out of the top 25 as well. Like,
true.
It's so frustrating because to me, it's such, you can only play the games of which you've got scheduled, right? And at the time when we played Michigan, they were a top 10 team, right? We played Oklahoma, they were a top 25 team. Played A&M, they're a top 25. Played Vanderbilt, top 25. Georgia, top 25. Like, they're all top 25 when we played them. Like, how can we control when people suck?
Well, here's the thing. Every dog's on the Texas schedule. And if you want to say, hey, you got your ass kicked by Georgia, fine. Fair point. We did.
I would, and by the way, I would disagree with that. That was not an ass kicking. I'm sorry. It wasn't.
The first half, which is when people turned off their TVs when it was 20-something to nothing.
Trust me. Hey, look, I'm an Aggie. I'll tell you, when it's like 20-0 or so, it's just getting started. Man, we haven't even gotten into a game at that point.
There are people that said Georgia got their ass kicked.
Stretched it out. Come on.
There are a lot of people that think Georgia got their ass kicked by Alabama because they didn't watch it all the way through. Alabama jumped out to a huge lead, and then it got close. I mean, Texas had it within a score going into the fourth quarter. So it was a viable football game. Mm-hmm. But we lost to Georgia. Point blank, at our house, they came in and they were the better team. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't like they got bad call. No, they beat our ass that night. Fine. But all the other teams that we beat, and honestly, without much consternation, are the teams that were upsetting all these other teams. Like Vanderbilt, well, that wasn't a good win. Well, we only won by 3 because we gave up a late score when we were playing backups when they were running out the clock. Well, Vanderbilt beat multiple teams that are going to be in the playoffs, or at least Tennessee and Vanderbilt, who could get in there. Every single one of the teams that we get dogged on beat one of the teams in the playoff this year. Like that's the bottom line. Is our schedule's Michigan. Not a good win. Well, they just knocked Ohio State down a rung. Like, the teams we're beating beat other teams. Part of managing your schedule is winning all the games on the damn schedule. It doesn't matter what they were ranked when you played them.
I understand. I do what I do for a living, but who the hell is watching this Texas team play football and then running to their schedule? Like, what? When don't we watch games anymore?
Watch the games.
Like, watch them play foot. That's like, to me, bitching about Texas's schedule would be like, you know what Oregon does? It pisses me off. They change that helmet every damn week. I can't trust them. I just don't know if I can trust them. Have you watched them play football? No, I don't need to do that. I just don't trust you if you don't wear the same shirt 2 weeks. All right, whatever. Like, I just don't get it because Texas is handling their business. We knew what the schedule was the day it came out. The day it came out, was it as tough as what they handed OU? No. Was it as tough as what they gave Florida? No. Was it cruel but fair? Yeah. And Texas has absolutely handled it. They're one of the best teams in the country, eyeball football watching. I don't know why it needs to go that far beyond. They're 11-1.
But the point of that is the schedule wasn't made in August. The schedule was made a couple years ago. And some of the teams that at the time were better and have fallen off, i.e. Florida, OU, like there was no way to predict that Florida was going to go off a cliff. But
it's going to happen a lot
now. Season in the top 15 because everybody thought they were going to be good.
But y'all didn't beat Oklahoma on a last-second field goal.
We kicked the crap out of them.
That's what I'm saying, Bo. It's like you threw a chain around these teams and just smashed them up against walls. And people are like, well, you know, Florida had that quarterback that transferred from Yale. Okay, that's true. But Texas dominated that game. on every level.
The same
possible.
Florida defense that is shutting down or at least stopping other teams. Quinn started out with 5 straight touchdown drives.
Yeah, I don't get it.
We eviscerated them. Quinn threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the first half against that Florida defense that, oh, by the by, is beating teams now. And that has nothing to do with the quarterback from Yale. Yes, Lagway makes them significantly better. But there have been plenty of teams that struggled against that Florida defense throughout the year. Yeah. Irrelevant of who was playing quarterback, whether it was Mertz or Lagway or the kid from Yale that really wasn't very good, Warner. We did get a little bit.
Kurt Warner's fake son.
That is true. The almost Kurt Warner. He wishes he was Kurt Warner's son. I'll tell you that. Real quick, Barbs10 has a super chat for us. $4.99. This is why Chad is the coolest Aggie alive. Oh, talk slow, Barbs10. He gets it that we don't get it. I immediately thought TCH Social had closed caption on by accident. Yeah, I thought Jason was lying to me, Barbs10. Because when I told him I hadn't watched the game back yet, I thought Jason was messing with me. No. He's like, Chad, they put the lyrics up on the screen. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, no, they put the lyrics to the war hymn up. And I'm like, and I jokingly said, well, did they do the little bouncing ball like when I was a kid? And the cartoons were like, what are we doing? That's so childish. I just don't understand.
It's been a long time, probably my life, at least going back in 15, 20 years before Texas had a defense as physically dominated this. Mike Elko's exact words in the post-game press conference. They physically annihilated us.
Yeah.
And Mike Elko isn't one to spin a phrase like that very often. He's a pretty stoic kind of guy. Irrelevant of whether the score was 17-7 or 100-7, everybody that was at the stadium and everybody that watched on TV knew who physically dominated that football game.
I think, Chad, there's a lot of comparison that can be made between what my critique, because I do love Quinn. I just, I have things that drive me nuts, is like Quinn with the stoic, I'm just right here. I think Texas fans, and I'm one of them, I can watch them, like you say, wrap the chain around them and slam them from wall to wall. And I'm watching the game. I'm going, I know we're winning this game. There's never any doubt we're beating the piss out of them. But we haven't had that, just go out and just mud stomp teams, boat race them 45-10 and, 52-17 and 45-7. Those big, they've kept it closer on the scoreboard. So I think when people just look at the score, but then, I think if you want to talk about parity in college football, A&M played that same Arkansas team on a neutral site and won by 3. That same Arkansas team beat Tennessee at home, right? And we went and beat Arkansas in their place. That Oklahoma team that, as bad as they play, beat Alabama. Well, we manhandled Oklahoma. The score isn't even indicative of how bad we physically handled that game. And so the same thing can be said about a lot of these teams. Texas has never been in doubt, but I think it's the way that they're winning. You can't just look at the box score and go, 52-7, Texas beat the shit out of Kentucky. But if you watch the game, which it's hard to do when, you're trying to rank 12 teams now, well, if you don't watch the game, you just go, well, they just barely snuck out of there.
God, I can't wait till this bracket gets set and we can stop talking about this crap and it's all about football. It's going to be so great.
It's going to be awesome.
Chad, back in the day, and RIP to the Horn, got to say, we all kind of congregated at the Horn way back in the day, except for Jason. Sorry to see you go. But even back then, you were the proponent, and I used to argue with you at least twice a week when Nick Saban would win 23-10. 27-13, and you'd be like, did you watch the entire game? There was no chance that other team thought they were ever going to win. He just did enough to win the game and preserve his guys and move on, and that's Saban's championship DNA. Well, I think part of that has rubbed off on Sark, and he's starting to behave in that methodology. Yeah, he doesn't need the style points. You know who needs style points, and sometimes it blows up in their face? Lane Kiffin. Coaches like that pride themselves, Lincoln Riley, and that was Sark when he got here. And I think as he's evolved and got the talent, and you're starting to see when he talks about what the culture of the program, the culture isn't about running up the score. The culture isn't about style points. the culture is about inflicting a havoc on the other team to where they don't want to come back for any more. Like, they just want you to stop. They're going to beat you to the point where you say, just, we're done. Okay. Leave us the bleep alone. Don't take the last shot. And we'll see how it plays out. But I think Sark is turning into a more Saban-like character. You're seeing it in his demeanor. He, like, when he first got here with the all gas, no brakes, he was about hype. He was building something from hype. Now that he has the recruiting base, now that he has the athletes, and now that he has a program that can run itself from inside with the players, now he's being a coach, and he cares more about X's and O's than hype. And I think this is a good thing for Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, the Texas defense, that is the best defense I've seen in 25 years. Think about how much better they could be next year when the young guard like Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, Manny Muhammad, who are the future All-Americans and first-round NFL picks, they're all coming back. And there's plenty of others. Like, they're only reloading now. Like, this isn't a one-year aberration. Like, hey, you had a bunch of guys that melded together. You know, like the team that won the Sugar Bowl and had some very talented guys, but it was a one-year blip. I think Sark's building something that's a lot more sustainable than that, and it's fun to watch.
Well, and I think that, and to Chance's point about score and to your point about the SEC, this conference just sometimes it asks you to win those games. And there's different kind of games that impress me in the SEC. Like the way Ole Miss beat Georgia impressed the hell out of me. It was 28-10, no doubt, in a rainstorm. And by the end of it, I'm like, okay, Lane, all right, I'm still going to probably ask you to win a game here in the next couple weeks and not be you, which you couldn't do. But that day, I had to give him all the credit in the world because that felt like an ass kicking. And again, somehow 17-7 did look like an ass kicking. Maybe it's because the other coach didn't understand field goals, but that's a domination by the end of the game. There was no doubt. Texas got to, and Sark pointed this out at the presser today, fellas, another game where they just get to close the door their way with the ball. You want the ball back? Tough. We'll hand it to you when the clock says 0, when we shake your hand. This thing's over in Tuscaloosa, in Ann Arbor, in Fayetteville, you know, just the Kentucky game. How much did they kill at the end of the Kentucky game? Like 7 minutes of clock time. As soon as the Aggies were dumb enough to go for that 4th down, and Burke and his choir of teammates, because if Burke doesn't make that play, there's only about 30 other guys ready to make it.
Was right there.
The entire team, the Texas band, everybody was there. Bevo, who wasn't even in the stadium, was ready to make that play. As soon as it was done, the game was over. Kirk Herbstreit knew it, and he said it on the broadcast. Well, if they don't get this, the game's over. He was right. That attitude has been impressive, and that, for you guys and everybody watching, imagine if Texas closes the door on Georgia in Atlanta like that. 5 minutes on the clock, got a lead, and they just chop wood till the end. And Kirby Smart has to shake Sark's hand afterwards.
Everybody in Kyle Field knew Trey Wisner was getting the ball.
Oh, yeah.
There was a point where you're like, you stop giving it to him. That's too many carries. Obviously, he felt good and just fine, but everybody knew who was getting the ball, and they couldn't stop it. They legitimately, they lined up and said, our guys are going to run over your guys.
Yeah. And by the way, Chance, to your point earlier, because you mentioned Gooseby, I think there's a good tie into what Bo's talking about with Elko. When Elko said physically annihilated, first off, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a coach say out loud, to throw his team under the bus like that. But he was asked a question about run defense. He was asked about the run defense against South Carolina, Auburn, and Texas. And he went through the different versions of why they got run on and lost the games. And that's when he said, and for this, you know, they're really good and they physically annihilated us. But I think part of it, Chance, is the frustration 74 created for him. Mm-hmm. Because deep in his soul, he knows that the left tackle going out for Texas and being replaced by anyone should have been good news for them. It should have been good news for his defense. It should have been good news for everybody named Shamar, and it wasn't. And Gooseby, I said this earlier today, I'll keep saying it the rest of my life. Biggest compliment I can give him, guys, is I never knew he played the whole game.
Well, here's the crazy.
I didn't realize it live that he played the entire ball game. On the rewatch, I'm like, wait a minute. He came in at no score, and I'm like, I wonder when Banks comes back. And then Banks is in street clothes. I had no clue. That's how good he was. And I think that's what really got to Elko. That's what really freaked him out. And maybe that's part of what freaked him out enough that he didn't care about field goals anymore, and he didn't want a one-score game. He didn't want a ball game. It like freaked him out so much he just forgot to coach football. That's how good Gooseby was.
Well, so I saw it happen, and I commented to the people that I was sitting with. I said, this is going to be really interesting because an injured Quinn with a brand new left tackle is going to be wild. And I watched him specifically, and he did so well that in one of the conversations I had on the Aggie Highway while I was driving home, I was told by a person in that locker room that the dude is so bought in that he's willing to sit down and take his time and learn how to be better. And he loves Kelvin Banks, and he looks up to him, has learned a lot from him. And what I was told, the exact words were, it's not that you won't miss Banks next year, but you're not going to notice the drop-off. That's coming from a guy inside the locker room. And I thought, that's a massive statement because Banks is going to be a top 5 pick. Think about what we're talking about here. We're not like, he's just a 3-year starter. We're talking about a guy that's going to be picked in the first 5 picks of the NFL draft. That's impressive.
This is what I was talking about, though. Nationwide, the guy getting the press now, and all well-deserved, kudos, is Jahdae Barron. Thorpe Award finalist, probably favorite to win the Thorpe Award. Nobody really saw him coming outside of Austin until this year, but now everybody knows exactly who Jahdae Barron is. Yeah. You know what? Next year, that will be Manny Muhammad or Jalen Gilbo or one of Michael Taft may have turned himself into an NFL drafted player this year, not next year, this year. Well, guess what? I love Michael Taft. He's an incredible player. The guy coming in is the guy whose job he basically took with Derek Williams, who will be back and was a 5-star guy that was playing great. Andrew Makuba leaves. Someone, Jelani McDonald is coming right into his spot, and we've seen some of the plays he can make. That's what I'm saying. The future is so bright for every guy that leaves. The guy taking his place, in some cases, is going to end up being better. Colin Simmons doesn't play 50% of the snaps right now. What happens when he's on the field full time? Trey Moore's a good football player. Will go to the NFL. Was good at UTSA, but next year that job is going to be Colin Simmons, and that's scary to think about, that they actually can get better at some of these positions. And, by the way, if you're a defensive tackle, don't you think that you want to portal to Texas? This is where the ball rolls down the hill, and it's different than every other era of college football. The portal changes everything.
Well, and and they kept making so many plays too. It's also key that the other side of the ball from your head coach looks that good right now.
I think this is what cracks me up when we talk about how Longhorn fans can ruin it for everybody inside the program when they get so overreactionary. It wasn't 12 months ago that everybody wanted Pete Kwiatkowski fired. Everybody thought that they should fire him and make Gary Patterson the defensive coordinator. Kwiatkowski had to. Everywhere Kwiatkowski has gone, by year 3 or 4, the defenses are phenomenal. But it takes that long to instill the concept of how he wants them to play. And Chance, we've talked about this privately. They play as an 11-man unit. There is no somebody trying to be superstar. They play within the confines of what the scheme tells them to do. They don't freelance, and that's why they're so good.
By the way, a couple of chats that came in here. Let's grab this one. ATX Bates back in for $4.99. They aren't a bear that mauls. Texas is the 20-foot python that snatches you, wraps you up, and then squeezes until you go night-night.
So I saw that when he came in, and that is the most perfect visualization I can grasp as to my frustration, right? Because we have been used to the maul. We've been used to – in the Big 12, it's different. When you play Kansas, you normally maul them. When I played, there were years that we didn't, obviously, afterwards. But when I was there, we did. Baylor, you just went into those games and you mauled those guys to death. And that's what Texas is doing. They do strike, and there is a quickness to the strike. But then once they've got you in their grasp, like you're toast. Like that's just the way that they play, and that's a great ATX Bates. This bait's for you, buddy. This bait's for you.
That's it. That's it right there. Bates, thank you very much. This is an interesting one for you guys because we've never talked about this on the show. Oscar, $4.99 super chat. Chad, what are your thoughts on A&M making uniforms and clothing that just says Texas Aggies instead of Texas A&M? Before I give my thoughts, does this bother y'all as Texas fans? Because I sense that it bothers some Texas fans.
Doesn't bother me.
No.
Look,
Life's too short to give a damn what other people call themselves.
I wonder if that's a marketing move by Texas A&M or if they're literally just trying to rile us up. No. But I will tell you, we care so much less about you than you do about us. So I don't care.
But in this case, in this one instance, Jason, I always hear this from Texas fans that it really pisses them off.
But it doesn't, and this is why. Is because they were Texas Aggies so long ago. Like that's what they called themselves. Like listen to their song, their fight songs, you know, the good old Texas Aggies. Like they that's what they called themselves in the 40s, 50s, long while ago. Right after they became or switched from Texas AMC when they were the A&M Agricultural Mechanical College, they became the Texas Aggies. So it doesn't bother me. I don't like. The only thing that bothers me that either school says is the T-shirt deal. That bothers the shit out of me. But other than that, like I'm like, whatever.
Okay, so Jason, Bo, show of hands, who's a little concerned at how much Chance knows about the history of A&M? I mean, even I'm a little concerned.
I committed there, Chad.
He was committed that he was. R.C. Slocum had him ready to sign the line that was dotted until he came to the Oasis, and Mac Brown switched his mind.
It sounds like Chance is a real good boyfriend. That's all I'm saying. Chance is learning a lot about his girlfriend's school.
And won't wear the colors. All right.
He grew up in the Woodlands. It's like Aggie's heaven down there.
I mean, and the fact of the matter is that when I committed to A&M, it was a deal where I was huge in recruiting the class for Texas. I mean, I was on the phone with Sneezy Beltran and Roy Williams and Brock Edwards and Roy Williams and Sloan Thomas and Tony Jeffries. I was on the phone with all those guys all week, you know, all day, every week, trying to get them to come to Texas. And I was going to do the same for A&M. So I bought into what they were doing, and I wanted to know about it because I can't just try to recruit somebody if you don't, you know.
God, I forgot about Sneezy Beltran. What a great
so
name.
Good.
That is just, I'd forgotten the name. Thank you for saying that, Chance. That might be one of the greatest football names that ever existed. Sneezy Beltran. I forgot about that. By the way, let me do it. Guys, let's do.
By the way.
Oh.
He's back.
The elf on the shelf is back.
We're getting him back.
Let's do a little clarification for the chat in case they need it. Randy earlier pointed out accurately that the Eyes of Texas is the school song for Texas and not Texas Fight. If one of us said the opposite, we apologize, Randy, but it feels like the chat got into a discussion, and Sandman did point out our fight song has one sentence about A&M. Meanwhile, 95% of the Aggies war hymn is all directly related to UT. Just to make sure we're clear, both school songs don't mention each other.
No.
The Eyes of Texas is Texas's school song. A&M's The Spirit of Aggieland also does not mention Texas. One reason I kind of like it, because it's rare. It's a rare thing that Aggies express themselves, and it's not about Texas. I kind of enjoy that part. My dad and I sort of agree on that. Like, hey, it's a thing where we're not just talking about Texas. It's kind of nice. So you are right. And yes, Sandman, if you want to compare mentions in the whatever you call that, war hymns or fight songs or whatever, that's true. It's one mention versus kind of the whole thing. Yeah.
It's a bowling pin with a chance on a shelf.
Bowling pin on a shelf. Elf pin is what that is. It's an elf pin.
Dad, you're going to have to learn how to do the things Blake did involving Chance and an elf.
It looks like 49ers trying to tackle Josh Allen last night.
By the way, Chance, on behalf of every NFL fan that can't stand the San Francisco 49ers, would like to just thank Josh Allen and the Bills for that entertainment last night. I needed some positivity in my weekend, and watching the Bills go up and down the field in a snowstorm and busting them up was kind of nice. I enjoyed that.
That was a good old fashioned. We're more physical than you. Ass kicking is what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so nice.
And by the way, the thing with Christian McCaffrey breaks my freaking heart. Like,
that was terrible.
It's awful. That dude, he's worked his ass off to get back and had so many injuries. Like, he's such a generational talent. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It is,
all right.
but at least the injury ended up not being as bad as suspected.
Yeah, the slow motion of his tab was awful.
When you saw it when it happened, you were like, he's done for the year. I mean, the year and beyond.
Yeah, they think it might be just a PCL, right? Nothing too crazy.
Six weeks, but done for the season.
Yeah, I say just a PCL. I'd be crying for 8 months, but yeah.
If they could make the playoffs, then he could get in for the playoffs, but they're not going to do that.
Jason and I have a question for you, Bo, as Cowboys fans. What are these playoffs you speak of?
What are you talking about, man?
We've heard about them.
Won 2 in a row.
That is a win streak.
That's right.
That is a win streak.
Hey, by the way,
hey, my Titans only lost by 167 to the Commanders. So
I want to know if you guys, because you guys are a lot more involved in the analytics a lot of times than I am. I had no idea how they were going to score that Josh Allen touchdown. How many of you three, before they told you how they were going to score it, knew that?
I did know that, and I'll tell you this: getting a passing touchdown and a receiving touchdown on the same play is fantasy football cheating. And if any smart commissioner would disallow that. Okay.
Did you hear Josh Allen though? Did you hear Josh after the game?
Oh, he said, yeah, I started myself in fantasy.
Yeah, he goes, I started me too.
Did you hear Collinsworth talking about how he was going to beat his son because he had Josh Allen?
Yeah, that's what she told him after the game. And Holly Rowe was like, did you hear Chris said that he had you in his game and you saved him? And he's like, oh, that's good because I had me too.
Yeah, Chance, maybe you can help me with this because my nerdiness doesn't understand it. So he gets credit for the pass
and a receiving touchdown, but not a reception.
Yeah,
he does not get the reception.
In a point per reception league,
he should get a rushing touchdown, not a receiving touchdown.
It's like if it was a hook and ladder, which effectively it kind of was.
It was.
Like, he would still get a passing touchdown, even though these guys did all the work.
The ball was pitched backwards. Shouldn't that be a rushing touchdown?
Forward pass with a lateral,
not a running.
I went and read on it because I was kind of curious when they mentioned it. When the play is a forward pass past the line of scrimmage, statistically, anything after that carries with the
right.
It becomes a reception without a catch. There's only one receiver, so Cooper gets the reception, but every yard after that, it's considered receiving yards. So Josh Allen had receiving yards with no catch.
So what if Cooper fumbles it and an offensive lineman picks it up and scores? Is that a receiving touchdown?
No, because it's a fumble. Now, they determined that it was if it's a legitimate pitchback, like a hook and ladder play or designed at the end of the second half or fourth quarter, like if it's a lateral backwards, not a fumble, which is different.
Right.
If they determine that your intent was to pitch it back to the guy, then it's receiving yards from the point of where you catch it's a reception up to where Cooper had it, and then Josh Allen gets receiving yards, not from where he caught the pitch, but from where he then took over the line from Cooper.
That's crazy. So, yeah, and I don't know, Chance, what my favorite part was, either Allen's explanation or Cooper's. Both explanations were brilliant. I think Cooper's might have been my favorite because it was like, I don't know, I just saw him coming towards me, and I figured he wanted the ball. So,
you know what's crazy?
Give it to him.
But what's crazy is that Amari gets so little credit for the phenomenal because of what Josh did afterwards.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
But the throw was terrible, and it was a hell of a catch in that environment, in that atmosphere to make the catch. Like,
yeah, no, it was incredible. What a play. What a play. Yeah, I mean, so Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley in a battle for MVP right now? Is that the kind of the two guys at the top?
I mean, yes, those are 1 and 2, but Josh Allen is so far ahead.
It's got to be. I would think Allen is ahead right now, but who is that? Who the other guy might be?
Yeah,
maybe Barkley.
I think we're kind of being victims of the moment a little bit because I think that if Baltimore gets back in it, you could start to hear before this week, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry were at the top of those lists too, but then the Eagles whooped their ass. Yeah. Well, if the Ravens take down the Steelers and the Ravens win, a couple more games, and all of a sudden they're the 2 or 3 seed, I think Lamar, the twice winning MVP quarterback, would be back on that list. I think Henry's done, but I think Lamar Jackson can get back on that list.
Lamar can get back on the list, but I can tell you right now, just from listening, because I was pushing, Josh was statistically better than Lamar last year, and they gave it to Lamar, which was the Bills fans' gripes. And this year, right now, Lamar is statistically better than Josh, but the atmosphere around college football with who the networks are pushing, specifically the NFL network, because of who they work for, that tells me the league wants Josh to win the MVP this year.
Well,
last year they wanted Lamar.
I think part of why Lamar won it last year was because of his supporting cast. When your best receiver is rookie Zay Flowers and your running back is the Gus Bus, that's showing that you're winning a lot of, like, Josh Allen is now doing what, no offense to your guys, but Khalil Shakir and, like most of his main guys, Kincaid's been hurt. They traded for Cooper recently, but who are his receivers? Mac Hollins walking through with no shoes. Like, now Lamar has weapons. They gave him Derrick Henry. They got 2 tight ends. They have Zay Flowers, and they've added pieces. So now it's like, well, you're good, but now your cast is carrying you some of that. Whereas Josh went from having Steph Diggs and other key components that now all those are gone. Now it's like, oh, shit, Josh was the reason they were doing that, not just the other guys. That's kind of where it's getting to with Lamar.
Don't count out Rico Dowdle, okay? And the Cowboys go on a run here.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Westbrook is the king of getting a 45-yard touchdown in a game the Titans are down by 40. He will gut your fantasy.
Can you tell me,
Jason, if you're going to mention the Cowboy that's up for MVP, at least say Aubrey's name right, will you please?
Can somebody please explain to me why Turpin looks like Rick Moranis in Spaceballs in his helmet?
Why? What did we do to deserve this? Chance, you know who else kind of looks like Dark Helmet to me? Haynes King at Georgia Tech.
Fair.
When Haynes was at A&M, every time he would come in the game, I would think his helmet looks too damn big. His helmet looks way
He's wearing one of those super soft, like one of those, I don't remember what they're called for concussion helmets.
The shell, the extra shell. Like, what are we doing? Yeah,
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
All right. It's like as soon as we hit 10 o'clock, we just go.
Yeah.
Like, there's
10 o'clock is a bad.
Pathway. The rails just go. Phew!
There are no rails ever, but really after 10. All right, Jason, how about an after 10 off the rails Star Ranch? Birdies are available delivery. I need the pro version. Hit it.
This Saturday. What's up, Star Ranch, my beautiful baby? We'll be back together this Saturday. It's the first time I'm playing Star Ranch since my last round there. I played all 18 holes with 1 ball. Hullabaloo Connect. Am I right? Because that's why I love the golf club at Star Ranch, my favorite golf course in all of Central Texas. It's fun, man. A great layout allows for creativity on a lot of the holes. And if you're not the best golfer like myself, not so very punitive when you make a bad shot. It is and can be challenging if you're a good golfer, but scoring is available there at Star Ranch. And the best thing is that it is in great condition 365 days a year. I know we're moving into the chilly, wintry wonderland of Texas winters around here, but the golf course is going to stay in great shape as it does all year long. Fairways going to be lush, the greens rolling true. Great place to do tournaments if that's something you're interested in. If you got a charity or something like that going on, you can scan the QR code there or call 252-GOLF to set up a tee time. It's the golf club at Star Ranch. Hullabaloo Connect. Is that it? Is that how it?
I almost spit my water out on that.
How it
one,
goes?
I gotta tell you. I almost spit my water out. I was not expecting Hullabaloo and Connect to join. Birdies are still available.
So next time you do it, you got to mix in a chicka-rigga-moo or whatever the hell that
I'm
word
pretty
is.
sure that's a slur. You ain't gonna get me on that one, man. All right.
Here's the weirdest thing about the end of the war hymn is every time I see it typed out, I always think the same thing. Well, I never say that. Ever. Like, it's so weird that the actual words that they type out, I don't think that's what Aggies are actually saying. But if you bring that up, it just gets weirder. So I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do. But after this past week, nobody needs to be digging into to Aggie songs of an 8-4 team. I wish I'd been wrong about my Aggies, fellas. I said I didn't think they could get to 9 if they lost to Notre Dame, and then I was just hoping I was going to get to say I was wrong, and yeah, I wasn't wrong. They still might get to 9, I guess, with the bowl game, but not yet. Not yet. All right, let's see what else. I think we got all the super chats taken care of. Let's remind you about the time is of the essence when it comes to Poncho. We are the Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. So 2 things for your Cyber Monday. You got like a couple hours left if you're watching us live in your Cyber Monday. In terms of Poncho, this is where you need to focus. The double up deals. You buy 1, you're getting 1 gift. You buy 2, you're getting 2 gifts, so on and so forth. Great for stocking stuffers, or maybe it's just a gift for yourself. These t-shirts are out of control comfortable. I talked to somebody at a tailgate before the game in College Station that was a Poncho freak, and he agreed. He was talking. First thing he says is, man, have you tried their t-shirts? They're unbelievable. They are. Check out ponchooutdoors.com and mention Orange Bloods Live when you place your order. That is one thing that is a little bit of time is of the essence. Here's another one real quick. You got a little bit left on a Cyber Monday to get 75% off arrivals. You want to join orangebloods.com, find out what's going on right as Texas is getting ready to take on Georgia. Oh, by the way, signing day on Wednesday. Be a lot going on. Use the code RIVALS24. Make it a gift for somebody that is on your Christmas list that is a Longhorn fan. And, of course, once you get onto orangebloods.com, you'll have access to all those other Rivals sites as well. Cyber Monday deal going through tonight as well with that. So remember that Rivals24 code. All right, we appreciate everybody liking and subscribing and getting your notifications. I almost feel bad saying goodbye if Chance is. There he is. There's Chance. I would feel bad if Chance wasn't.
I forgot to use the restroom when I had to save my cat the first time.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. All right. We will talk to you on Wednesday when we'll dig a little deeper into Texas and Georgia. We hit a little bit of it tonight, got into some of it. Texas going for some revenge. Georgia just going for another one of those SEC titles because it's kind of what they do. Texas trying to really put a scare in the whole conference by not only getting there, but winning the SEC in their first year. What was that stat you gave us, Chance? Bama was the last team to do that first year in the conference?
1933.
That's what it was, right? That's the last team to do it. Enter the conference, go win. I already said it today, fellas. Do we agree that Texas has now officially surpassed whatever A&M did in 2012 for like best entry season into the SEC? I mean, they'll probably get there eventually. Is it there now, though?
I think it has to be.
Right? 11 wins. You're going to Atlanta. Going to be in the playoff.
We're going to the playoff. Like, beyond everything else, we're going to the playoff. I mean, not to make fun of A&M too much, but in that best year they had, they didn't even make it into the playoff.
That's true. Right.
They didn't They played in the playoff.
Yeah, they didn't even play in the game that would have gotten them into the game that would have gotten them to
play in the Cotton Bowl. Like when that stretch of Texas playing in the Alamo Bowl every single damn year, it seemed like they went and played in the Cotton Bowl.
They did. And in a real system, they'd have been an incredible team to watch in a playoff. But we didn't have a real system back then, and they couldn't make the system that was in place. I would say Texas has definitely gotten that spot right now for the absolute best of the modern era, the best first years of the SEC. We'll see how they handle Saturday. Remember, it is a 3:00 kick, which means we will fire it up at TCH Social Austin at 2:00 for those drink specials. By the way, somebody was asking about drink specials. Let me put up this image and we'll talk about it. Somebody said, hey, I went to TCH Social today and they said they didn't have an Orange Bloods promotion. Let's remember, this is about an hour before the kick, all the way through an hour after the game is over. That's when the drink specials take over. So during the week, you're not going to be getting those. So come see us on Saturday at 2:00, $1 draft, $2 jellyfish kicks in and it goes all the way till an hour after the game. Plus, the food is unbelievable. If you have not had the bad beat bacon, come change your life on Saturday. Watch Texas take on Georgia. I am told there was like 30, 40 people there last week in that little lounge area, and that was great to hear. People are enjoying this place and really liking what they see. So come on out. Remember, you do not have to be a poker player to come check out TCH Social.
But jump in the game anyway. All right. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, you can do it if you like. Jason Dick. Jason Dick goes out there and plays cards.
Don't go to his table. Don't go to the 2-5 NLA table. He will take all your money.
Hey, man, I got to eat. All right. The bad beat bacon ain't free.
I'm assuming that's the table you're at. 2-5.
It depends on what's going on, but yeah, sometimes. Chad, can you put the first one back up there? I'm sure you've shown this several weeks. The first TCH social slide that you had there. Yes. Has Carson Beck ever taken a good picture? What is going on with this guy's face?
He is kind of.
And why does he wearing a Virginia Tech Hokie shirt on the bottom? It's like 15 Georgia, but then it turns into Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he really does have the Chandler Bing smile going on there. What is that? That is not good.
I just noticed it. I was like,
I'm telling you guys, those two.
Crap.
Yeah, I think we can all safely say, if you go back and look at October the 19th, I don't think any two quarterbacks that we can all agree are good, can be pretty good at times, maybe even really good sometimes. I don't know when I've ever seen two quarterbacks play that bad at the same time. Both guys just had horrible nights overall. Quinn, there was little pockets here and there, and obviously their teams tried to help them out. We'll see if one of those guys, or maybe both, can play a whole lot better than they did on October the 19th. All right, we'll talk more about it on Wednesday night at 8:30. Remember, tomorrow is a CFP reveal. We showed you the projection of what it could be. 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, football with friends. That's when they start anyway. So they'll be rolling with the CFP projection. Check out all the stuff at Orange Bloods Live. And if you are a recruiting freak, Wednesday morning at 8 a.m., the guys are going to fire up the signing day coverage. Texas has already lost a flip. There may be more of those on the way, but there also might be some flips coming the other direction towards Austin. You want to get all the info, get it at orangebloods.com. Get that Rivals deal, 75% off Cyber Monday. Hurry. And then join us at Orange Bloods Live at 8 a.m. on Wednesday. All right, I think I've talked enough. We'll be back on Wednesday night. Our man Blake, the super producer, will join us, and he'll bask in his regular season victory on the picks. We're going to stop all that crap and get into some playoff predictions, because then maybe the rest of us will have a chance. Join us. Bring a beverage. Until Wednesday night, we are the Outsiders, and we are legitimately worth a shit.